So I'm 28 years old, and I've never met my father. It already starts. I never met my father, and he. The story is a little fuzzy. I'd have to ask my mom again, but he was into a lot of illegal activity before I was born, and my mom was thinking of leaving him before she got pregnant with me. She ended up getting pregnant with me, and she gave him an ultimatum that he either chose to behave and be around in my life, or my mom was not going to allow him to be in my life. So he made his decision, and I remember the first time I ever learned how to use a computer. The very first thing I ever thought of, and I was really young, maybe like 7 or 8 years old. The first thing I thought of was that I can find my dad through this. And for years, on and off, I would try and search for my father online and find him. And then I joined the military at 17, and I deployed to Afghanistan at 20. And I had a lot of downtime at one point when I was there, so my mind went back to searching for my father again. And I actually did. I found him online in Afghanistan by finding a cousin of mine first. And so I reached out to her, and then I got in contact with like grandparents, aunts and uncles, and then finally my father. And then on my way back, we scheduled a time. We tried to schedule a time and place to meet. I found out, so I live in Connecticut. My father, at least at the time, lived in Massachusetts. So we were trying to get together to meet. And I remember I spoke to him maybe a handful of times on the phone. And when I spoke to him the first time, I was blown away at how similar like our train of thought goes for sorting out things. And we're very careful on choosing our words when we speak and meaning what we say and things like that. So I was blown away at having that in common with my dad. Anyway, so we scheduled a time to meet, and I call him the day of to ask like, hey, are we still on? Because I didn't hear from him. It was maybe about 11 o'clock, and I was going to start making my way to Massachusetts. And the way he sounded over the phone was as if he was like probably still high or coming off of it, and he was confused, and he was like, oh, we made an appointment, or that was today. I was like, yeah, there's no confusing the day you're about to meet your daughter for the first time. So I told him, don't worry about it. We can schedule another time. So since then, I haven't met my father yet. And I want to say that was probably at 21 or 22 years old, the last time I spoke to him. And I mean, to be honest, I've had, between my mom and my grandmother and my aunts and my cousins around me, there's just a strong line of Latina women in my family. So when I was younger, I never felt like I missed him. I never felt like I went without, because my mother played both roles like just amazing. And, from where your dad needs to step in to speak to a parent because the kid is bullying you or something like that. Like, my mom had no problem going toe to toe with principals, with fathers, with mothers and fathers that were still married and stuff like that, And she always did it to where it was enough. She never caused a scene. Like, my mother is very level-headed, and she just did an amazing job at pretty much making me realize, pretty much having me not notice growing up without a dad. And I remember the first time I ever heard a kid I was in second grade, a child called for their father, and they said, Dad. And it's probably really silly, but I remember I turned around, I was like, you call your dad Dad? Like, that was just so foreign to me. I never heard that. And, I believe the power of presence is a real thing. But even more than that, I think it's better to have no presence than bad presence. And I think my mom, like rocked that. I think she did a great job in raising me without my father. I still plan on meeting my father. But from him not being around, I mean, I've played on sports teams, and some of those are male dominated or mostly male. Like, I compete in jiu-jitsu, I train MMA, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, wrestling. I joined the Army. I'm still in the Army National Guard. I'm an instructor for military police. I'm in the Hartford Fire Department. I pretty much rock male dominated, and I'm not one to toot my horn, but I will for this. I pretty much rock male dominated fields. And I'm not sure if that's more contributed to my dad or my mom. Just, I never felt like it was an impossible thing for women to do. Like if it's something that you want to do, you can absolutely do it. You know, my mother filled both roles and without breaking a sweat.